Welcome to the True Talk Podcast. Here's your host, Jenna.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to True Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Jenna. Guys, this week on this episode, I have the one, the only, Sam Schmidt. Guys, you might be like, okay, you're going to go to Sam's profile in the show notes and you're going to be like, Jenna, Sam's all the way out in California. How the heck did you find her or meet her? This is the beauty of the social media world. This is one of the pros of it. When I started my business of freelance social media management, which another plug to my business, True Media Management, I found Sam's profile on Instagram, and she not only is a social media manager for her clients and businesses that she has out there in California, but now she has created this community of other freelance social media managers and teaching us the way. I've taken a couple of her courses. I have her bundle. Like, she's just so educated and smart about it all. And her story to how she got to this is what is so inspiring, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring her on the podcast, so that you guys can see that it is possible. If you are not happy with where you are in life, with what position you're in with work or anything like that, take that chance on yourself. Take the chance, take the jump, take the step, and invest in yourself and do something that's going to make you happy. So without further ado, Sam, welcome to True Talk and the True Crew.
Thank you so much. I mean, there's no way to ever top that introduction. I mean, whenever I need to be hyped up, I'm going to listen to that for sure.
I got you. Okay, so Sam, tell the listeners and viewers where you started and where you are now, just so we can get an idea.
Okay, so when I was 4, no, I'm just kidding. So
I was 7 years ago.
So basically, I did like the very generic thing. Graduated high school. I'm like, okay, didn't really feel like taking the SATs, so we're just gonna rock out of community college. And I was one of those people that was just changing their major every other day. I was like, oh, I could be a lawyer. Ooh, I could be a graphic designer. I basically always that person that was like into everything a little bit, but was never like so zoned in on one thing. And so I really struggled in college. And basically, like, this is like my starting moment in everything that I always share is like, I walked into a geography classroom at a community college. And on the first day, I'll never forget, this professor was basically talking about geography, and she's like, was almost like pitching geography and why it was great, and to like a bunch of people who could care less. But for me, I was like, this is like a core memory. She was like, geography is just for people who like a little bit of everything. She's like, if you like maps, but if you like this, if you like this, you like this. She's like, if you just don't love one thing and you like a little bit of everything, geography is for you. And I was like, I walked out, called my mom. I'm like, well, I'm gonna be in geography something. I was like, for the first time, someone like looked directly at me and was like, "It's okay. Like this, if this like sounds like you, this is what's for you." And it completely changed my life. From there, I was just like, "Okay, well, I need to finish this." I finished my degree in like a year and a half. From there, fell in love with it, and then basically got a job in the Caribbean teaching geography, and I was like, woohoo! I was like, got my career job. I was like, I'm going to go be a Caribbean girl, and then that's going to be that. So I did. I moved across the country to the U.S. Virgin Islands and absolutely fell in love with teaching. It truly, it was my favorite thing. There was, so many different, learning lessons so young, too. It was, not only were there, cultural differences I learned so quickly, but then, learning how to be a whole teacher in about 4 seconds was pretty much what I did. Loved it. But there was so much there's so much that went into teaching that no one talks about. And I mean, I think people online talk about it now, but like not only like the underpay, but it's emotionally so taxing. And I was feeling it so heavily. And then come 2020, it almost kind of gave me an out almost. So I came home in 2020 and I was like, okay, I love this part of it, but like I'm way too tired. And so from there, I basically was like, kind of through teaching, I taught a couple college classes, and then I was like, okay, I need to do something else. And that's how I found social media management. And it was almost like the exact same thing happened to me, where I looked at this one thing and it was like, you can do a lot of little things and be really great at them and put them together and be really great. And it almost was the exact same feeling I had in that geography class that day, where it was like, this is a lot of, you don't have to be really, really great at just one thing to be great at this. And from there, I loved it. I have loved helping others become a part of it. It's like, I'm so obsessed with what social media management can do, not only what it's done for me, but like what it can do for other people too. So I'm just like number one fan. I finally feel like I started here, and like it's kind of ended up in the same message of just like, we can still do a lot of little things, put them together and make it great and build something really great for ourselves. So that's kind of my like overarching story.
I love it. And it's so funny because it kind of like reminds me of me. But like when I was in college, I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. Took some law classes. I'm like, I don't want to be a lawyer. And then I'm like, I'm just going to finish my degree and, I'll figure it out. And I went through 2 different career paths, like really, really different. And I still just felt like so lost. And now that I have my social media management, the marketing business, my photography business, and the podcast now, I'm like, it's like that breath of air that you can just be like, I finally feel found. I finally feel like I am who I'm supposed to be.
I love that too. And I think that's with social media management in general is by no means am I like, oh, do you feel lost in your teaching job or do you feel lost in your 9 to 5? Like just sign up for social media management and it's all going to be solved for you.
Right.
But there's something about social media management that is like, it forces you to figure out what you like and what you don't like within it. And you can like basically take it anywhere you want to. And you can't say that for quite literally any other career style safe job. So there's so much like beauty in gosh, I mean there's no other way to say it. That doesn't sound so cliche, but it's like there's such a beauty in the journey of social media management as your entry point. And I don't think that gets talked enough.
Yes. And especially nowadays, there's so many people that are interested in going the user generated content creation route, the influencer route, because of TikTok and everything that we're seeing. And, there's a lot of people, I'm sure there's people out there who are going to be like, social media is the devil, like, it is not good for us. But it's like, within reason, I feel like social media gets such a bad rep. It makes me think of, this might go a little controversial here, but like it makes me think of police, like just because there are a couple bad apples in the patch, like everyone's like, no, bad. Like, police, they hurt, they're bad. But it's like social media, if there's some people who abuse the privilege of it, then people are going to think it's bad, but it's really not. Like, I mean, look at this connection now, and I've learned so much from you to be able to kickstart my business and get clients and stuff. So it's like, I hate how it gets such a bad reputation.
And I think when I first started my business, and I mean, I'm not sure if you've experienced this too, it wasn't like the bad rap of social media itself that ever really bothered me as much as like, when you go and talk to with strangers or even family members, it's like, oh, you posting photos on Instagram. And like, I used to let that bother me so much. Like, it's not just a cutesy job, it's hard.
Right.
But now I found so much like confidence and like assurance in what I do in my business. And once you really are able to lay it out and be like, no, what I do is really hard and they just don't understand it. Those kinds of comments just fall off your back and you completely are able to be like, you're right, I'm a cutesy girl posting cutesy photos, but guess what? I'm making 4 times my teacher's salary and I am living a life that's like so true to me. So, pass the salad, please.
Yeah.
Can I have that?
That was so funny.
Anyways, so I really do think that, and that's one thing in business, if you would have told me my first year, I would have been like, I was so obsessed about what other people thought about what I was doing. And now it's like, it's almost like tunnel vision. Like, just do it. And yeah, you'll be more worried about the. Sorry,
I love that. I want us to go down that rabbit hole for a sec. Mm-hmm. The confidence in yourself. Like, I've always been a confident person, so I say, right? Like, I always felt like I was a confident person and stuff, but I didn't see true confidence until I started to have my own business and be, have that responsibility. What do you think about that? Do you feel like your confidence has grown from where you were teaching and with so much unknown of not being able to figure out exactly what it was you wanted to do to now building your scale school community and all of your accolades?
It's funny you say that because confidence is something that I really teach so heavily in my programs. And I think when we say the word confidence, it's like when I hear those words, they do sound so big, like confidence, self-assurance, alignment. I feel like when you say these words and they all kind of put together, they're like these kind of fluff buzzwords. But when you think about confidence in your business, and especially, the way I think about social media management is, like confidence in your, whether it's your pricing, the skills you have behind your services, the value you bring to clients, regardless if they see that or not. Those things will allow me and allow other social media managers to show up in a completely different way when they are confident in themselves. And I think that when we think of confidence, we think of this like confident all the time thing. And that's actually not true. It's you are able to have your vulnerabilities. You are able to like let certain things seep in and be like, oh, well, it's your ability to pull yourself out of it is what is going to strengthen you as a business owner. And to be quite honest, I did not experience any issues with this. And this is just like, I don't know how, but I did not market my business on Instagram for the first year and a half of my business. Ask me why. I don't know. I didn't have to. I really did build my business off word of mouth and in my community. But my like imposter so I was kind of just like I'm pushing it over here. And then it really was until I started marketing my business and really seeing what other people were doing that really started hindering. Like the first time I ever experienced imposter syndrome was almost 2 years into my business because I was now finally looking at what other people were doing. And it's like that muscle is such a scary thing, especially if you are experiencing it right away in your business. Like with confidence, I'll always preach that if you're able to start training that imposter syndrome muscle and not looking at what everyone else is doing, like, sorry, we love our peers, but muting the ones that get in your head because you're paying attention to it, it's going to make you stronger right away. Because again, if I experienced it right away in my business, I don't know if I would have been able to get through it, to be quite honest.
Yeah. And I think you've said this in reels and, in your trainings before. Your feed should not be all just other social media managers, right? Like, we should be, depending on what it is that you are doing, you want to be following your dream client, right? Like, I'm saying that right?
That goes for all businesses too. I mean, if I was a personal trainer, while as much as I had like the curiosity of to see what my peers were doing would be the one thing. I think if I was a personal trainer and I followed 100 other personal trainers, I would constantly be getting on my platform and seeing what other people were doing and not only questioning myself, but feeling like I need to do that.
You, as a social media manager, instructor, teacher, mentor, we'll use all those words, guru, I'm going to go with it. For people who are looking to get into social media, get into even just maybe running their own business, what is your first advice that they need to do on their to-do list? Like, what's the first thing they should do to establish?
So a lot of my advice is definitely social media management related. I mean, if you're starting a candle company, maybe make the candles. Actually, no, it's actually pretty similar. You know what? I'm gonna reframe. If you're starting a candle company, you should learn how to make really good candles before you start selling them, before you start putting out your website, before you start marketing your candles. You should know that you have really good candles. If you start a social media management business, yes, you might know how to use social media, but you need to start fine-tuning your skills so you can actually offer services that are worth people investing in. I think so quickly people even jump to buying templates and starting websites and pitching to clients before they really understand what they offer and how to offer it well. Because just knowing how to post a reel is not enough anymore. Just filling a glass with wax is not enough to buy, for people to buy candles anymore. So really, I think fine-tuning your skills behind what you want people to pay for is the number one thing with business in general. And I think with online businesses, there's this kind of rapid fire, you can make a lot of money really fast. And we skip that part, and then we might be able to land these clients, but 3-6 months down the road when they're not getting any kind of return because we didn't really put that much, effort in the beginning, that's where we start to see social media managers burn out and not be able to retain. And a year into their business, all of a sudden, Silly Sassy Socials is no longer up and running. And last thing I want for anyone in business is to not have longevity in it, because
it is. And I love what you say in your Scale School community and to your students and to other social media managers, that you wish, one of the mistakes that you have learned from is that you wish you had those templates and stuff from the beginning so that so much time didn't get wasted or go away because you had to do everything from scratch over and over and over again.
Exactly. And I think too, there's with the templates that I offer in my business, it's not only is it helping other social media managers not start things from scratch, but it's also helping you know what you actually need and really cutting the fluff. Because one of my core values, or things within my business is your time is so valuable. So many people are starting businesses while they still have full-time jobs. So people are starting businesses with so much chest pain, anxiety, if it's going to work or not. The last thing you need to do is be trying to figure out how to maneuver a social media proposal from scratch. Is it the most life-changing, revolutionary thing? No, but it's going to help you get there a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's just that stepping stone. So when did you, from starting your freelance social media management, having your own clients, which you still have, correct? I think you have 4 or 5?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. When were you okay, I want to step back into my teaching shoes and help other social media managers? When did that light bulb go off for you?
So there did come a time where I was okay, I can do one of two things when I start building this Instagram out. I started an Instagram from scratch, and I was I could do one of two things. I can use this content to attract new clients. And at the point I was at, my social media management business was bigger. I had virtual assistants, but I'm I will need to scale into some sort of kind of agency if that's the way I'm going to do that. So I had that route, or I was or I can start a completely different avenue in my business, still keep this here, maybe scale it back a little, and explore if I like this or not. And that's what I chose to do. It felt so, it was so unfamiliar, so foreign. And I found out like the opportunity that to help other people in business. And I think it's something I never considered before. I never thought about online courses or memberships or, coaching, mentorship. Like it's something that I completely learned along the way. And that first consulting call I did, the first coaching call I did, my first group program, I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is it. And I was like, I love this so much. And it was like all these puzzle pieces that were just scattered around in my brain finally falling together. And I just love it.
That's so, so cool. And I mean, you're a natural at it. You know what I mean? Like I've attended your courses and the master classes that you've done and stuff, and you're very comfortable and you make it very engaging, relatable. Like it's just easy to follow along. So I think I speak for other social media managers. Thank you for helping us and making our lives a little. Stop it.
No, honestly, it's truly so sweet. Thank you.
Of course. On your Instagram, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with the celery juice?
I actually haven't posted that. So I moved into a new house in November, and I was like, I moved into a house for the first time in like my adult life. So I was like, well, I obviously need to be like doing some kind of content in my new fun backyard. And at that time, I was drinking celery juice every morning, and I was like, well, this is the most consistent thing I have going on. I should probably post it on my stories. Turns out I was actually because I have actually had ulcerative colitis for most of my life, so stomach things is not foreign to me. So the celery juice was actually not doing me any favors, so I don't do that anymore. I've actually had to retire that.
Oh, man.
I publicly announced my celery juice retirement, but I'm formally doing that now.
Guys, whoever follows Sam on Instagram, the celery juice mornings, they're retired. I don't know how I feel about that, but I hope it helps your stomach.
Like, it has, and I just, I feel so bad for the celery juice fans that, look forward to that content.
I know, really. Okay, so if you don't mind, because on the podcast we talk about, health and wellness and stuff, how have you managed the ulcerative colitis and everything? How have you managed that with diet and stuff?
It's funny that that I'd be coming on a podcast and like talking about that now, because so I'm 28 now, so I've had it for 13 years, and
wow,
it was something that it's almost always been a part of my personality. Like I'm very open about it. Am I like so open about it? No, like I don't post about it. But it was a struggle in my being a teenager, having, for lack of a better word, bathroom issues. It was definitely a struggle. And really, honestly, it's taken about 13 years to really figure out what works for me. And unfortunately, that now I've finally accepted what it really is, and being gluten-free has changed my life. Like truly, I feel like I never thought that would be the gluten-free girly, but here we are, and it has been literally a life changer. I had no idea. So that's been a big part of it.
Amazing. That's amazing.
It's sad, but it works.
It's sad, but on the second episode of the podcast, some of my listeners and viewers remember, I spoke with a certified wellness consultant who's based in Miami. Her name's Nicole. And she was one of the first people I spoke with when I started my holistic journey with the autoimmune condition that I was battling. And Nicole was like, all right, we're going to have to do trial and error with nutrition. You got to go gluten-free, you got to go vegan. And I'm like, oh my God. But like, it's amazing what a difference like those changes can make. You know what I mean? Like, the gluten hasn't bothered, it never really did too much to me. I never really saw much of a difference, but just for general health, like I've definitely steered away from it as much as I can, but there's still pretty good options. Like I'm sure, have you tried cauliflower pizza? Like that's not bad.
Right. And that's the thing though, is like if I'm ever gonna be gluten free, like this is the best time to do it. I mean, there's like full on gluten free stores. I mean, so I
Yeah,
really, it's not like I'm gluten free in 1920 when it's all, it's all bread.
right, right.
So we're so lucky to have access to gluten free cupcakes and
Yeah,
cauliflower pizza crust. So I'm grateful because it's one of those things with, I mean, for me with like my autoimmune disorder or disorder things,
disease.
disease. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I don't know. It's always called stomach problems. Um, it my I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think a lot of autoimmune disorders, like diseases, is
Okay.
so connected to my stress level too. And really being so aware of myself and really like going on like not also like a personal development journey and really like understanding me and what I need to not only slow down but to really feel rested and recharged and like how my emotions affect my body. It's been that combined with gluten-free living is completely transformational, and it's like I feel like you don't really get it until you get it, but like once you get
Right.
it, wow, wow.
I'm so happy to hear that. And it's like, and I'm glad you said that about the stress and the self-care aspect, especially as business owners. Like we really have to be careful of that. We have to be careful of the burnout, of the stress, of putting so much pressure on ourselves, And yeah, you want to be successful and everything, but not at the cost of your health. It's not worth it at all. And, sometimes I almost feel like people might think self care is more of the aesthetic girl, like, oh yeah, I'm in my self care era. And like that's fine and everything, but also take it seriously, like take it seriously that this is something that you need for your own health, physically, mentally, because I think that's what happened with mine too, because it's autoimmune. Your immune system brought it onto yourself, it attacked your own body, you know? So it's like, you really have to protect yourself sometimes from yourself. That's just so weird to think, but it's true.
When you put it like that too, and especially in the form of like thinking of, yeah, we like have to protect ourselves from ourselves, especially if we don't understand ourselves. Like it's such a
Yeah.
crazy powerful thing when you really sit back and think about it. And by no means do I think that like the people who struggle with kind of different autoimmune issues are lucky, but in a certain way we are, because a lot of people aren't forced to learn themselves like in order to be, I mean, at
Right.
all, let alone learn to like function in daily life and be healthy. So I mean, when
Right.
I look at it through that lens, I actually feel really grateful that my body was like, no, you need to figure this out, like, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to be on in the bathroom all the time, so like we gotta
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
That's I
But, and it's,
like that.
yeah, I say that all the time. I'm so grateful that I went through what I went through because I learned so many invaluable lessons. And one of them is to not take anything for granted, like not even writing, because I lost my ability to write for a little while, and getting that ability back, I'm like, I will never take that for granted. I'm going to write every second I can, any chance I get. And, I feel like our duty now is to make sure that we preach that to people and to be like, look at our testimony. This is where we were. This is where we are now. This is what you got to be careful of. Like just make sure you're taking care of yourself first and foremost, always.
And even like your story about, I mean, even writing is like it's so amazing. But I even
Oh,
think like
thank you.
piggybacking off the writing thing too is self-care, and I'm not sure if you've experienced this too, because there's so many, like, self-care is facials and red light and journaling and meditating and grounding and walking, and you're like, okay, I have to do all those things. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I found
Yeah.
myself being, I'll never forget one time I like woke up and I was journaling every morning, and I was feeling really tired, and I was like, no, I have to get up because I need to be able to journal. And I really sat with that, and I was like, what's going to benefit like me and more, sleeping more and resting more, or like forcing myself to write? And that kind of like
Right.
light bulb moment happened to me too, where I'm like, you know, I actually don't have to force myself to journal every day for self-care.
Yeah.
Actually, like, sleeping more and resting more might be better too. So it's all about
Yeah.
finding what works for
It's
you.
what resonates with you most. It's going to be, and it's like I've said before that, you know, say you have person A and person B, and both of them have Lyme, you know, or any autoimmune, ulcerative colitis, MS, whatever, like
Mhm.
their journeys are not going to be the same. Every person's so different. Every person's so different. So you have to just hone in and really do that reflection, figure out what's going to work for you. I've seen on your Instagram you've been doing a lot of sauna, like, and I
Mhm.
think that's been helping you, right?
Right. And I think and like, I don't know how to explain this, but I never looking, even I was gonna say, like, I never saw myself as a swollen person, but like, that doesn't make any sense. But even looking at myself a couple months ago, and it's not even like really attached to weight so much, but I, with saunas and like the way my diet changing with this gluten-free thing, I'm finding, like, looking at myself in certain photos, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I look like a different person, because I feel like not only energetically, but like my like swollenness, like I'm finally like starting to feel in
Yeah.
my own body doing these practices. So it's really great.
Yeah. I was actually going to say that to you too. Like, I feel like you just look so much, not that you didn't look healthy before, but like I can see a difference, you know, like I can really, honestly, I can really see a difference in, you know, your face. Like, you definitely look a lot less swollen, and that's what it is. It's like that puffiness, it's the inflammation, you know. You need to
Right.
do that detox, and detox is so vital, you know, like is something that's so helpful, and it helped me too. So
Well, thank you for one, because it's always nice when you notice it in yourself, but then also, like, we can say whatever we want, but when other people notice it too, it's so validating. So I'm like,
oh yeah.
thank you. It's like I
Yeah.
am less.
Of course, of course. And I know the gluten-free journey is not easy. You know, at the end of the day, like you said, it's worth it for the way that you
Especially
feel.
like a snapped jawline from gluten free. Like, let's do it. Like, at this point, I'm like,
God,
I'm here for it.
let's go. I love it so much. I love everything that you stand for and do. And one of the things that I really love that you preach on your profile is like, okay, you want to start this on social media, just post, just get up and do it. Just do it. Like, let's
Right.
reference Nike's slogan, just do it. Like, just post it. Start being consistent. Post it every day. Like, if that's what you want to do, just do it. And it's like I hear that in my head every day. I'm like, stop thinking so much about, remember, I think you said it in one of the master classes or on scale school something, and you were like, you know, I stopped being so concerned with the cover photos on the reels and stuff, and more about just what the actual content was about and the purpose of posting. Yeah, does aesthetic look nice and stuff, but what's more important is the content that you're putting out. And I just love that. I love what you stand for.
Well, thank you so much. And I think that it's like, I think in social media too, like what you like stand for does evolve so much, and even in like that sentiment, like I do still stand so firmly in like when I was talking about the real covers, I think that was like back in client class or something. But the way I think about it now too is like not only when I think about real covers and like creating these like aesthetically whatever, so it's all cohesive. It's again going back to like my whole vision around like your time is so valuable. Like we need to be having needle moving tasks constantly, and creating real covers all the time is not one of them. So there's like that part of it too. And then also when I think about real covers versus the actual content itself, is at the end of the day, the people who are seeing your real covers are the people who are newly coming to you. Of course, like if your audience is going on your page, but like at the end of the day, the real covers are the people who are just discovering you, and the content is for the people that it's a part of your community. And for me and for my students and for everyone, I think it's much more important to like nurture your community that you already have first, and then if you have time, give a little extra flair for the people that are just coming to you. Because I think when we're so focused on how we are presenting versus what we're actually doing and providing, we get lost in it all. I mean, what's the point? And then you hate the reel cover so much you don't yet even end up posting the reel that's so good. Like, for what?
Right. But like, I love that too, because, that goes back to the whole engaging with your community that you're building, that, take care of the community that you have right now. Take care of, who's in your corner, who's saying they're following and paying attention, engaging with your content, and then worry about, who's looking and watching here and there, like, but focus and give back to those who are the real supporters.
Right. And I think to be completely transparent too that's not an easy thing to do, especially as my account finally started growing. I mean, when I say like I was not one of those like one-hit wonders that like just popped off really quickly. It was 5 months of essentially crickets, and 5 months of basically being like, oh, I don't know if people are really going to be into me, or people are going to really want this from me. Is like once that started finally kicking off, of course I was like, I'm finally on this hamster wheel. Let's go. What reels are going viral? What am I doing that's getting a lot of likes and things like that? And I didn't pay attention to all the people that were there the first 5 months. I was totally on that hamster wheel of like growth. And I think had I, in hindsight, paid more attention, I would have always kept that community aspect. But there was a period of time where I lost it, where I was like, okay, let's turn and burn. Like, this is finally doing what I wanted it to. And then once I stepped back, I was like, oh, wait, I actually care way more about the people who like care about it than the numbers themselves.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And you just do such a good job at that. So thank you for seeing your community and continuing to boost us and help us with our own personal journeys and business journeys. But
it's my favorite thing.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast with me. I absolutely loved getting to talk to you, just kind of like behind the scenes of the social media world, and seeing who Sam is behind Scale School and the client class and all that we all know and love on your social media. But guys, if you are wanting to jump into content creation, social media management, anything like that, make sure go check out Sam's Instagram page. I'm going to put it in the show notes. And just check out the content that she puts. It's super helpful and educational, and you just learn so much. And not only that, but you join this community where everyone just wants and is willing to help one another. So that's just what's so cool about it. But I do have one last final question. As your initiation into the True Crew, are you ready?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's see. Like, I don't know, but I guess.
Okay. I'm ready.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know if this is a superpower, but I was just talking about this yesterday. I want to have we're going to call it a superpower. like a switch where I can just like turn off and go to sleep and like wake up when I'm 100%. Like I don't wake up in the middle of the night. I always just like turn on and turn off when I need to be like recharged. And like that, so I'm never groggy. I'm never, like we're just like, okay, oh, I'm at 2%, gotta go, gotta run. I'll be back.
Okay, but I have a question. Does time like pause or stop for you to charge?
No, time can still go on, but I think that if I'm like my superpower would be able to like show up without any kind of tiredness. If I'm like, okay, I need to be completely on for this, like I'm gonna make sure I'm 100%, like BRB. Time can go on, like I'll play for it. But
so is there a fast charge option?
Yeah, that would probably like cost extra, and like sometimes I would do it, but like yeah. But
I love it.
Like I'm never having brain fog. Like I'm always so present all the time. Like that's my superpower because I have this little switch.
Yeah, because that would mean we're definitely not human at that point. Because is that stuff not real? Oh my gosh. Well, Sam, once again, thank you so much for coming on. And guys, like I said, go follow Sam. Make sure you follow along. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of True Talk Podcast. And I will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the True Talk Podcast. Make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and stay tuned for more to come.